It is the same intelligence that keeps the planets in orbit without asking them to strive. The same force that turns an acorn into an oak, that paints the skies in hues no human hand could ever replicate. This is not chaos. This is design, sacred, silent, and sure. And you, dear soul, are part of this holy unfolding. You were never dropped into this life as an accident. You are not a random flicker in a dark cosmos. You are a thread in the divine tapestry that weaves galaxies into being. And though you may not always see the pattern, though your eyes may fill with tears and your heart tremble beneath the weight of unanswered prayers, still the universe is not confused. The plan is not unraveled. The path has not disappeared. What feels like uncertainty is often just the soul being asked to trust more deeply. There is a divine timing beyond your intellect, a sacred rhythm deeper than your fears. Like the tide, your life rises and falls not to harm you, but to shape you, to mold you, to hollow you in the places where the light must enter. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are exactly where the universe needs you to be for your becoming to unfold. It's hard. I know it's hard to trust when the road ahead disappears into mist. It's hard to breathe when the heart is heavy with what might never be. But the soul was never designed to see the whole map. It was designed to listen, to feel, to respond to the gentle nudges, the quiet callings, the soft currents that pull you toward your truth without explanation. Rumi once wrote, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you." And that is the essence of trust, not a blind faith in outcomes, but a deep surrender to presence, a knowing that even if the form changes, the essence remains divine. That even when doors close, it is only to redirect you to a greater alignment with your spirit's calling. The ego will clamor for guarantees. It will demand certainty, plans, and control. But the soul whispers a softer language, one of surrender, one of trust, one of deep inner knowing that everything is always unfolding for your highest good, even when it doesn't feel like it. You see, the pain was never punishment. It was pruning. The loss was never rejection. It was redirection. And the delay was always preparation. You were being shaped not for the life your ego imagined, but for the life your soul chose before time began. And so breathe, not to fill your lungs, but to remember your belonging. The breath has always been your first teacher. It comes without force. It goes without fear. It doesn't ask where the wind is heading. It simply trusts the exhale. This is the way the universe works, not through tension, not through force, but through easeful surrender to what island? The trees do not grasp at the sky. They rise into it. The rivers do not question the bends. They flow through them. So why must you demand to see the horizon when the next step is already enough? You are not here to micromanage the infinite. You are here to harmonize with it, to tune the strings of your heart to the silent music that underpins all of life. There is an order beneath the disorder. There is clarity within the confusion. The caterpillar does not curse the cocoon. It allows the darkness to be the temple of transformation. And so must you allow the not known to be your sacred ground. Do not rush it. Do not force it. Let the Christus do its holy work. There is a reason your path has curved through detours and delays. Had you arrived too soon, your hands would not have been ready to hold the blessing. Your spirit was still softening, still stretching, still preparing to become the vessel through which miracles can flow. And now, piece by piece, breath by breath, that readiness is taking root, not through striving, but through releasing the need to know how it will all unfold. The oak does not grow faster by doubting the soil. The sun does not rise quicker because the world pleads for morning. Trust, beloved, is not a passive state. It is the most active alignment you can choose. It is saying, I will keep walking even when the map disappears. It is saying, I will bless the pause, for I know it is sacred. It is saying, I will not confuse stillness with stagnation, for the seed rests before it blooms. There is a rhythm you cannot yet hear, and yet you are dancing to it. Every setback was a note in the song, every heartbreak a chord in the symphony. Nothing has been wasted, not a tear, not a sleepless night, not a single moment of confusion. They are all pages in the sacred book of your becoming. You have not taken a wrong turn. You have taken the only turn that could lead you back to your soul. Even the longing is part of the design, for longing is not a sign of lack. It is a homing beacon, a call from the future, you toward the present you. It is the divine magnet pulling you home, not to a destination, but to an awareness that you were never forsaken. You were never alone. You were never forgotten. The universe does not abandon its creations. The same intelligence that orchestrates the galaxies whispers your name in every breath, not because it needs you to achieve or earn or prove anything, but because it loves through you. It creates through you. It experiences itself through your eyes, your hands, your laughter, your tears, and it guides you not always with signs you understand, but always with truth that your heart recognizes. Trust is not a conclusion, and it is a practice, a daily return to the knowing that life is not a test, it is a teaching. And every lesson is an invitation to go deeper, not outward, but inward, into the stillness that has never lied, into the silence that has never left, into the sacred inner compass that points not to a goal, but to your essence. You were not meant to live this life trying to force open closed doors, nor to endlessly worry about whether the timing is right. You were meant to become the kind of being who trusts the closing as much as the opening, who rever the silence as deeply as the song. Because the universe in all its perfection does not operate on your schedule. It operates on your soul's unfolding. It is not here to match your plans. It is here to reveal your purpose. And that purpose is not always revealed in words or visions or dramatic awakenings. Sometimes it comes softly through the loneliness that strips you down to your essence, through the failure that humbles you back into your heart, through the waiting that teaches you to love without conditions. These are not punishments, they are initiations. The universe is not withholding from you. It is deepening you. And that deepening, that sacred stretch into more of yourself cannot be rushed. You cannot demand the ocean to calm its waves, nor the moon to hasten her rise. What is meant for you is already held in the hands of the divine. But the hands of the divine do not shake. They do not tremble with anxiety. They do not panic. They hold you as you are held by the breath gently, consistently, eternally. There are currents moving beneath the surface of your life that you cannot yet see. But just because you cannot see the tide doesn't mean it isn't carrying you home. Let yourself be carried. Let yourself be softened by the journey, even when it takes longer than your mind had hoped. The ego wants arrival. The soul longs for experience. And trust is the sacred bridge between the two. You are not here to master life. You are here to be mastered by love, by the kind of love that doesn't come wrapped in guarantees, but in growth. By the kind of love that doesn't always bring comfort, but always brings truth. And truth is rarely loud. It comes like a breath at midnight, like a warm breeze through a cracked window. It comes when you stop demanding answers and start living the questions. When you stop shouting at the sky and start listening to the silence. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. Like clay in the hands of a potter, you are being spun, stretched, refined until you can hold the sacred within you. Not because you were broken, but because you were always sacred. It's just that the cracks allow more light to pour in, and that light is not just for you. It is for those around you. You are not just being guided for your sake. You are being transformed into a guide for others. Every delay, every no, every heart touch has been preparing you to walk with more compassion, to speak with more truth, to love with more depth. Nothing was wasted. Nothing. So, can you trust it now? Not because you see the outcome, but because you feel the presence. The presence that lives in your chest when you stop trying to control. The presence that speaks not in thoughts but in peace. The presence that says you don't need to understand, you need only to allow. Let this be your practice. Not the endless hustle for clarity, but the sacred return to stillness. The stillness that says, yes, even this belongs. The stillness that reminds you the universe is not late. It is precise. It is exact. It is holy. And so are you. Every encounter, every tear, every serendipitous meeting, every aching goodbye. They are all threads in a tapestry far too vast for your eyes to see. You cannot yet perceive the full image. But the weaver is not confused. The weaver is not hurried. The weaver sees the end from the beginning and continues with perfect patience, even when your faith frays at the edges. You may wonder, why the waiting? Why the silence? Why must I walk through valleys when I long for the mountaintop? But the universe knows what the ego does not, that you do not find your light by fleeing the darkness. You find it by becoming the flame within it, not by resisting what is, but by allowing it to awaken the parts of you that have not yet fully lived. The soil must be broken for the seed to rise. The sky must darken before the stars become visible. So it is with your becoming. You were never meant to bypass the shadows. You were meant to remember that even here, Even now, even in the middle of your confusion or despair, there is a light inside you that has never gone out. That light has been waiting for your surrender. Not the kind of surrender that gives up, but the kind that lets go. Lets go of needing to know. Lets go of trying to fix. Lets go of clinging to a version of life that no longer fits the vastness of who you are becoming. And yes, it will feel like loss. But what if the loss is actually clearing space? What if the crumbling is not the end, but the sacred beginning of something more honest, more whole, more beautifully aligned? You do not have to fear what is leaving. You only have to trust what is coming. There is a plan, a divine choreography. And every heartbreak, every breakdown, every unexpected twist was not a deviation from the path. It was the path. You see, the soul doesn't evolve through certainty. It evolves through surrender, through the courage to say, I do not know what's next, but I trust the next step will appear when I am ready. Through the quiet strength that refuses to close its heart, even when the world offers every reason to. This trust is not the kind you manufacture with affirmations or declarations. It is the kind that arises from deep within. Like a wellspring that cannot be explained, it is born in the silence, forged in the fire, and confirmed in the still small moments when everything else fades and you feel the whisper, keep going. This is not the end. You are not being punished. You are being purified. The false is falling away. The roles, the masks, the stories you inherited from a world that taught you to fear, they are dissolving. And what remains is the real you, the you that was never separate from love. The you that was never disconnected from divine wisdom. The you that has always been held, guided, and known. And when you stop resisting what is, you begin to see what always was. That there is a sacredness in every turn of your life. That even the pieces you wanted to discard are part of the masterpiece. You don't have to know where this is all leading. You only have to remember where it all begins. From within, from the quiet center that has never been lost, from the still point inside you that does not shift with the winds of life. That is your anchor. That is your home. And when you begin to live from that place, something miraculous happens. The fear softens, the striving slows. The path, though still winding, begins to shine with a kind of quiet beauty. Because now you're not walking with anxiety, you're walking with trust, with reverence, with a deep unwavering knowing that you are not alone. The same presence that turns caterpillars into butterflies, that brings spring back after the darkest winter, that moves the tide without effort. That same presence lives within you, moves through you, whispers through your intuition and your dreams, and the sacred ache in your chest that refuses to let you settle for anything less than truth. And so trust, not because you've seen the proof, but because you feel the pull. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not forgotten. You are becoming. And the universe, the beautiful, infinite, wise universe is not making a mistake with your life. There is something within you that has never doubted, not for a single moment. Beneath the noise of the mind and the tremble of uncertainty, beneath the aching need to understand and the longing to arrive, there is something still, something ancient, something steady, and it has watched every turn of your life with the calm of one who knows the ending before the first line is even spoken. It is the divine observer, the quiet flame, the original awareness that chose to incarnate, not to be protected from life, but to participate in it fully. It did not come to avoid storms. It came to become the I within them. It did not come to avoid suffering. It came to discover how grace can arise even there in the shattered places like flowers breaking through concrete. So many times you have cried out, why this, why now? And the answer, though rarely in words, has always been because your soul asked to grow. And this is how you grow. And what is growth if not the shedding of what no longer serves the truth of your being? What is growth if not the death of the mask and the birth of the soul's expression? It is not always gentle. It is not always easy, but it is always sacred. The universe does not abandon you in the fire. It holds you through it. It does not prevent the waves. It teaches you to breathe underwater. It does not promise comfort. It promises depth, and in that depth, you begin to touch a power not born of ego or effort, but of alignment. You begin to sense a plan that was never about control, but about connection. You see, the plan was never to protect you from every fall. It was to reveal to you that you could rise again. The plan was never to pave your path in ease. It was to awaken within you the strength to walk barefoot through uncertainty with your head lifted toward the stars. The plan was not to give you everything your ego desired, but to give you everything your soul needed to remember itself. And now you are remembering not all at once, not in some grand epiphany, but in subtle shifts, in the quiet courage that rises with the dawn, in the way you begin to soften instead of close, in the way you begin to bless the past instead of curse it, in the way you begin to hear your own voice clear and strong, guiding you not toward more of the world, but toward more of yourself. This is what trust looks like. Not blind obedience, but intimate relationship, a dance between your free will and the rhythm of the divine, a daily choice to return to the truth, that even when it hurts, even when it confuses you, even when it feels like you're walking through fog, the universe is not lost. It sees you. It knows you. It has never taken its eyes off you. And if you could step back just for a moment and see the full picture, you would fall to your knees in awe. You would weep not from sadness, but from the overwhelming beauty of how it's all been perfectly placed. Every encounter, every goodbye, every seemingly random delay. You would see the divine fingerprints on every inch of your path. But until that day comes, you are invited to trust. To trust not because it's easy, but because it's who you are. Trust is not something you learn. It is something you remember. You were born trusting. You were born soft. You were born open. You were born with the knowing that you were held, that you are guided, that you belong to something infinite and unshakable. And that knowing is still within you, beneath the scars, beneath the conditioning, beneath the wariness and the striving and the doubt. That knowing still lives, waiting, breathing, beckoning you home. And as you begin to live from that knowing, the world begins to change. Not because the circumstances suddenly improve, but because your eyes begin to see differently. The mess becomes medicine. The waiting becomes sacred. The unknown becomes holy. And the question changes from when will things fall into place to can I bless this moment exactly as it is? For when you do, you step into the plan. Not the one your mind wrote, but the one your soul signed long before you arrived. And in that plan, nothing is missing. Everything belongs. This is the moment when something in you begins to settle. The breath finds its natural rhythm. The heart, once racing for some distant future, now learns to beat with the patience of the stars. The noise begins to fall away, not because the world has grown quiet, but because your attention has turned inward to the place where eternity whispers. You are no longer searching for the plan. You are starting to become it. With every step you take in trust, every act of surrender, every tear you no longer hide, you are merging with the divine design that was never outside of you. And what a beautiful, mysterious planet island. One that does not unfold in straight lines, but in spirals. One that does not cater to the ego's need for speed, but to the soul's need for truth. There is no map for this. Only presence, only the next breath, only the sacred yes that rises in your chest when everything else says wait. And yet somehow you know it's time. Time to stop delaying your joy until the conditions are right. Time to stop believing that life must look a certain way to feel meaningful. Time to stop thinking the divine is waiting somewhere down the road when it has been walking beside you all along in the silence and the struggle and the beauty of this very breath. Do not underestimate the power of where you are now. Do not dismiss this moment because it lacks the glitter of achievement. This moment is not a placeholder. It is a portal. It is the doorway through which the sacred enters. And only by being fully here can you begin to see what has always been true. That the divine does not reveal the whole path. It reveals itself in the step you're standing on. So take it. Take this step with trembling hands or steady feet, with full certainty or flickering hope. It does not matter. The universe does not require your perfection. It requires your participation. It requires your willingness to be present, to listen, to follow the quiet impulse of truth, even when the world tells you to run the other way. This is what it means to live in trust, to follow not the fear, but the feeling, to know that not everything must make sense in order to be sacred, that some of the most important parts of your journey will only be understood in retrospect. And even then you will see how beautifully the dots connected, how perfectly the lessons arrive, how masterfully your soul was being guided. You are being guided even now, even in the uncertainty, even in the pause, especially in the pause. This Sacred stillness is not nothing happening. It is everything realigning. Do not confuse the quiet for absence. The quiet is where the voice of the universe becomes loudest. If you listen not with your ears, but with your being, you will begin to hear it. In the sigh that leaves your lips when you finally let go. In the flutter in your chest when something just feels right. In the sudden peace that arrives for no reason at all. This is the voice of alignment. This is the language of the plan. It doesn't speak in logic. It speaks in resonance, in vibration, in the magnetic pull that draws you toward what you were always meant to become. You don't need to force it. You don't need to chase it. You only need to keep saying yes to what feels true. And when you do, the right people arrive, the right opportunities unfold. The path reveals itself, not all at once, but just enough to keep you moving in faith. There is no need to rush. What is yours cannot miss you. What is aligned with your soul will never need to be forced. And what is truly meant for you will always feel like peace, not in every moment, but in your deepest knowing. That is the sign. That is the plan. And you, beloved soul, are right on time. This is where the story deepens not into complexity, but into truth. For as you begin to live in harmony with the unfolding of life, you stop trying to rewrite the script. You stop trying to outrun the present moment. And instead you begin to listen not for answers, but for alignment, not for reassurance, but for resonance. It is here in the quiet acceptance of what is that you begin to feel something shift. You no longer ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, the question transforms. What is this revealing within me? You no longer see the unexpected as a disruption. You begin to see it as instruction. Every delay becomes a doorway. Every detour becomes divine choreography. Because when you begin to trust the plan, you stop needing to control it. You stop demanding that life follow your timeline. You stop insisting that joy must arrive only after the checklist is complete. You begin to feel joy now in the breath, in the silence, in the simple act of existing with your heart open and your expectations softened. And in that softening, you meet grace, not as a fleeting feeling, but as a way of being. Grace doesn't enter through perfection. It enters through surrender, through the sacred unraveling of all that is not essential until only what is true remains. That is what the plan has always been leading you toward. The shedding of everything false so that your real self can emerge. The self that doesn't need to strive. The self that doesn't need to compare. The self that doesn't need to explain, approve, or defend. Just the self that's simply island. And oh, what power there is in that. To know that you are already enough, that your presence is a gift, that your being just as it is not a waiting room for worthiness, but the very expression of divine intention. When you walk through life from that place of deep trust, you become the still point in a spinning world. You begin to carry a peace that is not dependent on outcomes, a peace that cannot be taken away by changing circumstances, a peace that has nothing to do with everything going right and everything to do with you being right within yourself. And yes, the world may still rage, the storms may still come, but you will no longer be shaken because your roots are no longer in your achievements or your titles or your plans. Your roots are in something eternal, something unbreakable, something that was never born and can never die. That something is you, the real you, the light behind your eyes, the breath beneath your breath, the presence that has walked with you through every dark night, every unspoken H, every silent prayer. It has never left. And now you are beginning to return to it, not by seeking, not by striving, but by stopping. Stopping long enough to hear the wisdom rising from your own depths. Stopping long enough to feel the stillness that has always been speaking. Stopping long enough to remember the universe has always had a plan, not because it needed to fix you, but because it already knew you were whole. And the journey was never to become worthy. The journey was always to remember that you already are. You have walked with me through this, remembering each breath, a step back home, each truth a light through the fog. And now here we are, not at the edge of understanding, but at the heart of it. And what does the heart say when all the noise has gone quiet? It says, trust. Trust not as a wish, but as a way of being. Trust not because the future is known, but because you are known intimately, completely, eternally. You are not lost. You have never been. You are not forgotten. You have always been carried. Even when your hands felt empty, even when your nights were long, even when the road made no sense and the map had burned in your hands, the path was still unfolding beneath your feet. This plan, this holy, sacred, beautifully mysterious plan was never about leading you to something outside of yourself. It was always about leading you back into the place before striving, to the stillness before identity, to the truth before words. It has taken form as people, places, choices, and changes. It has appeared as heartbreak and healing, as confusion and clarity, as beginning and ending. But beneath every disguise, the same voices echoed, "Trust me, I know the way." And now so do you, because now you've tasted it. That sweet, silent knowing that you are not at the mercy of the world. You are woven into its fabric. You are not separate from the divine. You are its expression. The stars that you've prayed under, the winds you've whispered to, the quiet ache you've carried through the years, they have all conspired to bring you here to this breath, to this moment, to this remembering. You are not the architect of the plan. You are its sacred unfolding. And life is not waiting for you to master it. It is waiting for you to trust it, to partner with it, to co-create with it. Not through force, but through presence. Not through pressure, but through peace. Let this be the moment you choose to stop doubting what your soul has already claimed. Let this be the moment you exhale the need to know and inhale the grace of being guided. Let this be the moment you forgive the past, bless the mystery, and say yes, not just with your words, but with your being. You were never behind. You were never broken. You were never without purpose. You are only being prepared to remember that the universe always has a plan, and it is more loving, more intelligent, more generous than your mind could ever imagine. So walk on, beloved soul, not with haste, but with reverence, not with fear, but with devotion, not with certainty of what lies ahead, but with the certainty that whatever comes, it will meet you with divine intention. Because now you know, now you remember, now you trust.